I mean, there's only 525,600 minutes in the year. How can you expect me to read all of those books in that time? Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today I am taking you through all of the new releases from 2024 that are still lingering on my shelves. These are books that I have had my eye on for pretty much the entirety of the year, but for some reason or the other, I have just never gotten around to them. Some of them are from authors that I have loved previously, and some of them are from authors that I am super excited to meet for the first time, but I really need to make these a priority in 2025. First up is Green Dot by Madeline Gray. This was actually recommended to me by my friend Amelia, and she said that as soon as she put this book down, she knew that she had to message me and recommend it to me because it felt like such an Aoife book. It was an opportunity she couldn't pass up. This is about Hera, who is 24 years old, and she's feeling a little bit in a rut at the moment. But she has just started a job as a moderator at the comment section of a really big newspaper, and here she's introduced to Arthur. Arthur is a little bit older than her, but there is an instant spark between the two of them. Over the last couple of years, Hera has leaned more towards dating women, so Arthur is going to be the first man that she has been romantically involved with for a couple of years. But things start to get a little bit more complicated when Hera learns that Arthur is actually married, and his wife has absolutely no idea that Hera exists. I am so intrigued as to how this book is going to go, and I also think that it is set in Australia. Those are books that I really enjoy. I really love the kind of idea of living vicariously through these characters who live in a country that I've always wanted to explore more of. So maybe this is just a cheap way to do that in 2025. Another one that I'm really interested to try is The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. This is one that my dad read and said that he really thought I would enjoy it as well. And I've loved Lucy Foley's books that I have read so far, so hopefully this is one that's going to work for me too. This is set in June 2025, and it is set around the summer solstice in the Manor. It's the opening weekend of this massive luxury resort, and a group of friends have gathered to holiday in this opening weekend. The candles for the summer solstice celebration have barely been lit when a dead body turns up. And it turns out that there is an entire history and so much that has happened in the lead up to this that all of the secrets from 10 years ago are about to spill over. I loved Lucy Foley's books before, and I am so intrigued by this kind of a manor and a big celebration that goes south so quickly. I really need to go and check this out. I also want to try out Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I intended to read this in October when it was really atmospheric, really spooky, and then I just never found the time to get to it. This is about two boys who were best friends and went on a little camping trip together in one of their backyards. The next morning, one of them wakes up and he's completely alone. His best friend has completely disappeared and nobody knows where he has gone to. It's now 10 years later and Ian has come back to the area where he grew up looking for answers for Billy's disappearance. I am so intrigued by Riley Sager's writing. I've actually got a copy of Home Before Dark as well that I really want to try out in 2025. And let's just see if Riley Sager and I will work together. I know a couple of friends of mine have said that Middle of the Night is a good place to start with his books, so let's see if they're right. I am also super excited to revisit Maisie Eddings in 2025 because I loved the idea of Late Bloomer. This is about Opal, who is living everybody's biggest dream but also worst nightmare. Opal has won a huge amount of money in the lotto, but now she has everybody turning up at her front door or calling her at all hours of the night and just asking for money. Of course, Opal is a huge people pleaser, so there is one word that she's never been able to say to any of them. But she decides that she needs to start putting herself first. She needs to start protecting her peace. So what she is going to do is put all of the money that she has left over into a failing flower farm in North Carolina. When she heads there, she is met by Pepper. Pepper is the owner of Thistle and Bloom, and she is not going anywhere. So the two of them have to put their differences aside, their strong hatred of one another aside, and try and work together to get the farm back in shape. But it turns out that love might be blooming between them just as much as the flowers are starting to bloom. I am also super intrigued by At First Bite by Olivia Dade. Now, I did try this back in February or March of last year, but it just wasn't the right time for me. I needed to be in a place where I could definitely concentrate on the book and not just try and speed through it. This is about Athena, who has been dumped by her fiancé Johnny just before their wedding because it turns out that his brother Matthew has been meddling in everything. Athena has bought this tiny little house that is right opposite Matthew's, and it turns out that their kitchens are looking in on one another. So Athena decides that she is going to get her revenge. She is going to blast erotica at him. She's going to blast really strange music at all hours of the night, just to try and get him to move out and leave her the hell alone after completely upending her life. But Matthew might not be so meddlesome as she was thinking of. I loved the Crazy Rich Asians series by Kevin Kwan, so when I saw Lies and Weddings had come out this year, I knew that I wanted to have it. This is a follow-up to Sex and Vanity, but I don't think that they are necessarily as well connected as the Crazy Rich Asians series was. This is about Rufus, who is the future Earl of Greshambury, and he is swimming in debt. The only way that his mother sees that he can get out of this hellhole is that he needs to marry for money. So it goes through an entire marriage of convenience plot with him trying to find the perfect woman. But the only woman that he wants is the girl that grew up next door. I love Kevin Kwan's writing because it really takes me to some places that I have never been to before. I have never been to places like Hong Kong or Milan, but you get to see so many corners of the world throughout his book. And through all of the footnotes that are in there as well, you get to learn so much more about different cultures, different traditions, different ways of living. And that is something that I absolutely love about his writing. Plus, it is dripping with sarcasm and with wit and with satire. I just know I'm going to have a great time with it. I went a little bit feral with an author I've never read yet, and over the Christmas holidays I picked up 4 books by Kristen Hanna, including The Women. I have never read a Kristen Hanna book before, but I know that all of them are going to be historical fiction based, and that is a genre that I really enjoy reading. I've also heard quite a lot about this one, and I'm really intrigued by how it goes. It's about Frances, or Frankie, who is a young woman living in California, and she has heard 4 life-changing words. Women can be heroes too. Inspired by this little phrase that she has heard, she and her brother head off to Vietnam. He is going to fight in the Vietnam War, and she is going as an Army Nurse Corps. I am so intrigued to see what this depiction is going to be like because I haven't read a whole lot of history focused on the Vietnam War. So I'm so intrigued to see what this area of history that I don't know a whole lot about is going to be like, and maybe it's going to inspire me to learn just a little bit more about it in real life. It could also be the first Kristen Hanna book that I pick up, and because I've got those 3 other books on my shelf, maybe it will start to steamroll an entire situation where I just inhale every Kristen Hanna book that's in my possession. I have started watching the sci-fi drama Manifest recently, and I am so intrigued as to what happened with this plane, what happened with the passengers who've come back, how they are integrating back into life at the moment, and if we're actually going to find out the mystery that's behind it. So when I saw that Here One Moment by Liane Moriarty had a relatively similar situation in the book, I knew that I wanted to read it. It is about a group of passengers who leave on a plane from Sydney, and there is one passenger who has boarded the plane completely unnoticed, but she is about to have an impact on every single person on this plane's lives. It turns out that when they interact with her or when they are around her, after doing so, they can see just how much time they have left to live, whether that be a couple of hours, a couple of weeks, or 7 decades. It doesn't matter how long this time is, but it gives them an entire glimpse as to how long their life is going to be. It does give them some time to right some wrongs, pick some things up that they wanted to do, or to start making changes that they've always wanted to make. I am so intrigued by the idea always of what would you do if you knew that this was the path that you were supposed to go down. So let's see how this book is going to work for me. I've had a couple of ups and downs with Liane Moriarty recently. I didn't really love Apples Never Fall, but The Husband's Secret was one of my favorite books of 2014. So let's see how we pick back up here. Another author that I really want to try in 2025 and that I've heard really good things about is Frida McFadden. One of my best friends gave me a copy of The Boyfriend for Christmas, and I'm going to be really honest, I am intrigued by this concept, but I'm also a little bit concerned because I've heard that Frida's writing style kind of takes you on a bit of a journey. This is about Sydney, who is living in New York, and like many other single women who are living in the area, hasn't had the best of luck with dating recently. But she has met a guy on an app and they've started to really hit it off. He is a doctor, he is super polite, he's really charming, they've been out for dinner a few times, he's come back to hers, and things are going really well. Until she hears a news announcement one morning that a bunch of women have been found dead after going out on dates with an unidentified man that will kill them a couple of hours later. Sydney starts to realize that maybe she doesn't know this man that she has been inviting into her home, and things really start to snowball from there. I've got a couple of other Freedom McFadden books on my sites for the year, so if this one starts to go well, I have got a brand new author that I can acquaint myself with for the rest of the year. Finally, one that took me all year to find is What I Ate in One Year by Stanley Tucci. This is a look back over an entire calendar year of Stanley's life and what he ate on those days. If he was at home with family, if he was out to a restaurant with friends, if he was on a movie set or a TV set, whatever it was that he was doing, Stanley shares all of the meals that he has shared with friends, that he's shared with family or loved ones, and has a couple of recipes in here as well. For example, the input on my birthday has a recipe for a spaghetti con tonno that he shares with his family and with his son all the time. I'm not a huge tuna person, but I feel like for Stanley Tucci, I can at least give it a try. There is a running joke among some of my friends and I that Stanley Tucci and I are married by soul. He might not know it, but I am his other wife. So I am so intrigued to see how this is going to go. I've got 2 other Stanley Tucci cookbooks, and I've also got Taste, which I feel like this book is going to be a little bit more similar to. This is probably going to be part memoir, part cookbook, so much love for food. Those are all of the books that came out in 2024 that I am still hoping to get to sometime soon. Is there a book that came out last year that you still have on your bookshelves to explore? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me the waving emoji so that we can actually get acquainted with these books sometime soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.